I'm sharing with you how to make some candy inspired Christmas decorations. I've got an offcut linen from dressmaking, some tailor's chalk, white embroidery thread, and we're just going to have a play, or some leather and some beads. So first off, there's a template on the blog if you want to download, or you can draft your own shapes. Draw your shapes onto your fabric and frame your fabric in an embroidery hoop. This will really help with your tension when it comes to the hand embroidery. If you don't have an embroidery hoop, don't worry. You may wish to mark your stitch lines onto the fabric. So once you've got this set up, the first stitch I'm going to show you is back stitch with whipping stitch. So bring your needle through, do a normal running stitch to start with. Now you're going to insert your needle back and then forward to the left of where your thread came up, equal distance. So you're going in backwards and then forwards of your thread, and each stitch should be about the same length. Once you've done that, we're going to add the whipping stitch. So basically you're putting your needle through each stitch, going from the bottom up to the top, and you're just going to work your way around. You're not catching the fabric at all or the thread. You're just going underneath each stitch from the bottom up to the top and just work your way round. And this just adds a little bit of boldness to that stitched line, makes it a little bit thicker. So just work your way around. So I've used these for the spiral candy cane decorations and the cross marks. So now I'm going to show you French knots. So bring your thread through from the back, wrap the thread round your needle 3 times, and then insert your needle back into a very similar position, and you can see how those wraps have been sort of pulled taut, and you pull your needle through, and you just keep doing that. So wrap your thread round your needle 3 times and insert your needle back through. As you can see, I'm holding that the wrapped thread with my left hand to stop it moving around, and keeping it relatively taut, not too tight because you won't be able to get your needles back through, but tight enough so it doesn't fall apart. So when you've stitched your designs, you're going to cut them out with a seam allowance of about about 1/4 of an inch, about a bit smaller than a centimetre, between 1/2 and a centimetre. To cut each shape out, then we're going to cut a second piece out for each shape so that we can stitch them together and stuff them. So that's my second piece. Place the right sides facing, and get your template if you're using a template, and because I found that really useful to work out where my stitch lines are. I wanted to make sure I caught all the embroidery in the decoration and didn't have any gaps. So I've got my template on and I'm stitching around my template, leaving about an inch gap so that I can turn the decoration out. That's about 2.5 centimetres. And I'm using a short stitch, 2.2 in length, and just back stitching before when I start and when I finish, so it doesn't unravel. At each corner I'm pivoting, lifting the needle, inserting the needle, pivoting, and then re-putting down the press foot. So trim your edges, and particularly your corners, because that's going to really help when you're turning out. Remove your paper template. And then turn right side out. This is a little bit fiddly, but well worth it. The finished decorations are about approximately 2.5 inches in terms of the fabric, so about 5 centimetres. So I'm just making sure I've got my points turned out as best I can. And then I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing. Now you can use fabric scraps or animal stuffing. I've got an old cushion and I'm using the filling from an old cushion for my stuffing. As you can see, I'm just making sure I've got my corners as sharp as possible first. I've got a thread from when I stitched it together hanging there. I'm going to use that for sewing it shut, which is why I not cut it off. So add your stuffing until you're satisfied. Got a little bit too much, so yeah. Right, now we're going to turn in those edges and we're going to hand stitch to shut the decoration. So I've got my edges neatly folded, and then I'm just going to go in from one side to the other. Just tiny little stitches along that folded edge. Just work your way all the way along until you've closed your decoration. So once you've closed it off, we're going to create a hanging loop. So I'm using the same thread because I'm at the end. Oh, my needle keeps coming unthreaded. So my loop is approximately, I don't know, an inch and a bit long. So I'm just going to hold it with my finger there, and then I'm just going to do a few stitches to secure the end of the thread and trim. That's my hanging loop done. Next we're going to make a leather tassel. So for each decoration you want a piece of leather that's about an inch by inch and a half, 2 inches. I'm making several decorations, so I'm just making a strip of leather tassel here. So I'm cutting into the leather almost to the end, stopping about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Very thin pieces. Let's just work our way along. Now I'm using fabric tack, which I find a brilliant glue, really useful with leather, and I'm encasing in the glue a thread which is going to help me stitch it to the decoration. So I'm going to roll tight, and then I'm going to use a clover clip just to hold it secure whilst that glue dries. Set it aside and then make the rest of my tassels. So once your tassels are dry, thread that thread you encased in the tassel, add a bead if you'd like, and then sew it to the bottom of your decoration. So I'm just doing a few stitches just to hold it in place. Ever so simple, ever so easy. There's a template on the blog for the shapes and written instructions if you prefer that to video content. So thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you love these candy ornament decorations for your Christmas tree. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click subscribe below.